They say some legends are not born from a single event, but from a pattern. A shape that keeps appearing at the edge of normal life, quiet enough to be ignored, strange enough to be remembered. The legend of the black-eyed children is one of those patterns. It does not belong to one town, one night, or one witness. It drifts, it spreads, it waits. Old whispers suggest the stories began surfacing in the late 20th century, though some insist the fear is much older. Not written as folklore, not carved into stone, but passed from neighbor to neighbor, from sleepless nights to uneasy mornings. People say the stories always sound the same, even when told by strangers who have never met. Children alone, knocking, waiting in the dark. Locals whisper that the encounters happen in quiet places. Empty parking lots, gas stations after midnight, suburban doorsteps where porch lights flicker and insects hum in the heat. The time is often late, when the world feels thinner, when reason grows tired. The children are said to appear suddenly, as if they were already there, just out of sight. They are described as ordinary at first glance. Small figures, pale faces, hooded jackets or outdated clothes that seem wrong for the season. Their voices, according to rumor, are calm and flat, stripped of urgency or emotion. But those who claim to have seen them say the fear does not come at first. It arrives slowly, crawling under the skin, triggered by something that cannot be explained. Old accounts mention the eyes. They say the eyes are completely black. No white, no reflection, just dark, endless pools that swallow light. Witnesses claim the moment eye contact is made, the air changes. Sounds dull, thoughts slow. Fear sharpens into something deeper, something instinctive, not panic but warning. People talk about how the children never force entry. They ask, they wait. They stand just far enough away to respect a boundary that feels important. Old rumors insist this is part of the terror, that whatever they are, they need permission. A step inside, a ride home, shelter from the cold. Something small, something polite. Newspaper fragments from small towns mention unexplained disturbances. Sudden illnesses, power failures. Pets refusing to go outside. Doors found unlocked in the morning with no signs of a break-in. No names are given. No conclusions drawn. Only unease left behind. The fear surrounding the legend grows not because of what is proven, but because of what repeats. Different places. Same details, same black eyes. Same quiet request. Same sense that something ancient is pretending to be young. They say the black-eyed children do not chase. They do not scream, they do not threaten. They wait in silence, patient as shadows, as if time itself is on their side. And that is what unsettles people the most. Not what the children do, but what they might be and how long they have been knocking. As the years passed, the whispers grew heavier. What began as isolated stories turned into patterns that unsettled entire communities. They say when the black-eyed children appear, the area remembers it, not with proof, but with a lingering tension that refuses to fade. Some claim the sightings cluster along roads that seem forgotten by time. Long stretches of highway where headlights cut through fog and nothing else moves. Drivers speak of shapes standing at the edge of the beam, small and still, as if waiting for the right moment to be seen. Others report soft knocking sounds echoing from the sides of vehicles, even when the doors remain locked and the windows closed. At gas stations, old clerks whisper of nights when the lights flicker without reason. Security cameras fail at the same hour. Receipts stop printing. And outside, near the pumps or the entrance doors, two children stand motionless. They do not enter, they do not leave. When the power returns, they are gone. Only the feeling remains, thick and sour in the air. Suburban neighborhoods have their own versions of the story. Porch lights turning on by themselves, doorbells ringing once then never again. Parents opening doors to find no one there, yet feeling watched long after the door is closed. Some report small footprints in frost or dust that lead up to the door, but never away from it. Old testimonies collected in local forums and forgotten radio call-ins describe the same unnatural calm. The children do not cry, they do not fidget. They stand with their heads slightly lowered, as if hiding their faces on purpose. Witnesses say the fear peaks just before the eyes are fully seen, as if the mind senses danger before the body confirms it. There are rumors of those who ignored the warning. Those who opened doors or offered help. The stories never agree on what happens next, only that something goes wrong. Sudden sickness within days, nightmares that do not fade. A sense of being watched that follows them from room to room, long after the children are gone. Animals are often mentioned. Dogs refusing to approach doors, cats hissing at empty corners. Birds falling silent when the knocking begins. Locals say nature reacts first, as if it recognizes something that humans do not. Newspaper archives mention unexplained emergency calls. Reports of children knocking late at night, then vanishing before authorities arrive. Officers find no tracks, no fingerprints, no signs of trespass. Only shaken callers who struggle to explain what frightened them so deeply. The rumors spread because they do not demand belief, they plant doubt. They ask a single question that echoes through every version of the story. If those children were truly human, why does every instinct scream not to let them in? And so the legend grows, fed by repetition, strengthened by silence, moving quietly from one town to the next, always waiting for the next door. As the rumors thickened, some began searching backward, digging through older layers of fear to find where the legend truly began. They say when enough stories sound the same, they stop being coincidence and start becoming memory. Not personal memory, but something older, something shared. Forgotten journals and fragmented parish records from centuries past speak of children who were not children at all. Pale figures described as empty vessels, walking at night and asking for shelter. The wording is different, shaped by older language, but the meaning feels disturbingly familiar. Black eyes are not always mentioned, yet the absence of light in their gaze is described again and again. In medieval folklore, there are accounts of wandering spirits that borrowed human forms to cross thresholds. Creatures bound by rules, unable to enter without invitation. Some were said to wear the shapes of the innocent, because innocence disarms fear. Children were chosen not because they were weak, but because they were trusted. Old monastery notes mention warnings whispered to travelers. Never answer knocks after midnight. Never invite the unknown across a boundary. Doors, they believed, were not just wood and iron, but lines drawn between worlds. Once crossed willingly, those lines could not easily be restored. In abandoned mining towns and decaying villages, locals speak of places where laughter was once heard at night, followed by silence that never lifted. Census records list children who arrived without families and vanished just as quietly. No graves, no explanations, only footnotes written in faded ink. Some claim the black eyes are not eyes at all, but emptiness, a sign that something is missing behind the face. Ancient superstition held that the eyes reflect the soul. When there is nothing to reflect, only darkness remains. There are darker rumors still. Stories suggesting the black-eyed children are not visitors, but collectors. That they appear during moments of weakness, grief, or exhaustion, feeding on consent rather than force. A door opened, a ride given, a moment of trust surrendered. What they take is never clearly described, only that those who give it are never quite the same afterward. Occult manuscripts from the 19th century warn of watchers that learn by observing humanity, that adapt, that imitate behavior just well enough to pass unnoticed until the final moment. The children's speech, described as slow and emotionless, is believed by some to be practice, a performance refined over generations. Abandoned buildings tied to the legend often share strange traits. Cold rooms even in summer, walls stained darker near doorways, mirrors that feel wrong to look into for too long. Locals avoid these places, claiming the silence there feels patient. As the history stretches backward, the legend loses any sense of a beginning. It feels less like a story that started, and more like one that was always there, waiting for people to forget why doors were once feared. In recent years, they say the legend no longer feels distant. It no longer hides in old paper or forgotten villages. It breathes closer now, woven into modern nights where lights glow but comfort feels thinner than ever. The stories do not slow down, they multiply. Some claim the black-eyed children no longer knock only on doors. They appear at windows at bus stops, at the edges of security cameras where faces blur and time skips. The details remain the same, even as the world changes. Small figures, stillness, waiting, eyes that swallow light. People whisper that once you know the legend, you start noticing patterns. The knock that comes when no one should be there. The feeling of being watched from just outside the range of sight. The sudden irrational urge to open a door you know should remain closed. It is said that children do not need to be seen to be present. Knowing is enough. There are reports of entire streets falling silent at once. No traffic, no insects, no wind. Just a pause, heavy and unnatural, followed by a single sound, knocking. Soft, patient, as if whatever waits outside has all the time in the world. Those who claim to have refused entry speak of consequences that are harder to explain. Nights filled with dreams of black voids where faces should be. Shadows that linger too long in corners, the sense that something has marked them, not in anger, but in recognition, as if refusal was noted, not forgotten. Others insist the children are not spreading faster, only being noticed more, that they have always been there, standing at the boundary between inside and outside, testing human kindness again and again. Each invitation strengthens the pattern. Each story feeds the next. Old fears return in new forms. Locks are checked twice. Curtains are drawn earlier. Parents listen harder for footsteps in the night. The legend seeps into instinct, into the quiet voice that says, "Do not open the door," no matter how polite the request sounds. There is no ending to the story, no final encounter, no proof that settles anything. Only unanswered questions that linger long after the lights are turned off. Are the black-eyed children visitors, or reflections of something humanity forgot to fear? Are they hunters or mirrors held up to trust itself? They say somewhere right now a knock is sounding, soft enough to be missed, patient enough to wait. And somewhere, someone is standing on the other side of a door wondering why the silence feels so alive.